Okay, so you know how sometimes when you think back to reading as a kid, it's like it wasn't always fun, right? It was like kind of something you had to do.
Yeah.
For school especially. Like remember book reports?
Ooh, yeah, definitely.
So like that whole thing of like books being more of a chore than like something you actually enjoy.
Yeah, it's a really common experience.
Yeah.
That kind of shapes how we see reading even as adults sometimes.
Exactly. So today we're going deep on that. Like how can we actually change that perception? Especially when we think about kids and introducing them to books.
Right.
We've got some interesting insights here. It's about someone who used to see reading as this like difficult task and then totally shifted to really valuing it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So we're going to try to understand what caused that change and maybe some tips for, helping kids really connect with books.
I think what often happens is reading gets linked to like, this idea of being challenged or having to work hard, especially with homework and stuff.
Yeah.
That can totally make you not want to pick up a book for fun.
Yeah. Totally. And the source we're looking at, it's funny because it really points to the book report as like the villain.
Yeah.
It's like you weren't reading for the story itself. It was about like, analyzing it to get a good grade.
Exactly. I remember having to like count how many times a certain word was used.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was so tedious.
It totally takes the joy out of it.
It does. I mean, you're focused on this external pressure instead of, the joy of discovering something new.
So for the person we're talking about today, things changed though.
Okay.
There was a real turning point, and you know what it was? Becoming a parent.
Oh, wow.
Suddenly it's like all these trips to the library with the kids.
Yeah.
It's a whole different motivation for reading.
Right. It's not about you anymore. It's about sharing something you enjoy with your children.
And making it fun for them.
Totally. And libraries are great for that.
And it's not even just being at the library. It's like actively finding new books. Like always borrowing something different and that excitement of discovery. And then, sometimes there'd be a book that was just so good that they'd buy it to keep. That shows like a real appreciation, right?
It does. It means they connected with it on a deeper level.
So what's at the heart of this whole shift in how they see reading? It sounds like it's about the experience of entering new worlds through stories.
Right.
Like getting to see things from a different perspective than your own.
Absolutely. And I think that's so powerful because it speaks to our natural curiosity.
Right.
We all want to explore different perspectives and, experience things we haven't before. And books give us that opportunity.
And I think that discovery naturally leads to wanting the same for your kids, right? Like hoping they connect with books from a young age without it feeling like a chore. Just that pure love of stories.
And the earlier they experience that joy, the more likely they are to be lifelong readers.
Totally. And then, ultimately the hope is that by being exposed to all these different books, it'll help them grow into like wise and thoughtful adults.
I love that idea. It's like these literary adventures can actually shape who they become.
Right. It's powerful. So we've seen this like really cool transformation from reading being this thing tied to schoolwork to becoming something that brings joy and opens up new worlds.
It's amazing how a change in perspective can make such a difference.
It really is. And it makes me wonder about other things in life that we might see as obligations.
Oh, interesting.
Like, what if we looked at them with a fresh perspective, maybe with a new goal in mind?
Right.
Could we discover unexpected enjoyment and, even benefits? It's something to think about, not just with reading, but in other areas too.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.